A hunter emerges. The year is 1941. A formidable figure cuts through the waves, the HMS Victorious, an illustrious class aircraft carrier joining the British fleet. At 766 feet long and displacing 23,000 tons, Victorious is a powerhouse. Her hangar decks house Fairey Swordfish and F-4F Wildcats, the teeth of her air wing. Her mission, critical: to stalk and strike down a deadly foe, the German battleship Bismarck, alongside its cruiser escort, the Prinz Eugen. Victorious encounters Bismarck and unleashes a daring offensive. Swordfish bombers, braving a hail of anti-aircraft fire, score a hit against the mighty battleship. Though Bismarck escapes, Victorious' attack weakens the enemy, pushing it a step closer to its inevitable demise. A changing tide. As the war rages on, so too does Victoria's destiny. The world around her shifts, and an unexpected future awaits. A new flag might soon fly overhead, and different aircraft might thunder from her decks, all in the face of a new enemy yet to be revealed. This rewrite condenses the historical context at the end for a more focused narrative around the Victorious, and its role in hunting the Bismarck. It also uses stronger verbs and imagery to create a more engaging tone. Britain's fortified fleet, the illustrious carriers. Forged from the fires of past battles and facing new adversaries, the illustrious class carriers emerged as the Royal Navy's answer to German, Japanese, and Italian threats. This class, boasting the HMS Illustrious, formidable, victorious, and indomitable, symbolized Britain's unwavering resolve to safeguard its global empire. These carriers, marvels of British engineering, were remarkably robust and efficient. Designed under the limitations of the Second London Naval Treaty, they displaced around 23,000 tons. While prioritizing passive defense over offense, their armored hulls made them formidable platforms. Versatility was the core principle behind the illustrious class. These floating fortresses could launch devastating air attacks while weathering enemy assaults. To achieve this, they packed a punch with 8 twin 4.5-inch guns and a multitude of anti-aircraft weaponry. Interestingly, pre-war doctrine emphasized the ship's firepower, not its aircraft, as the primary defense. This unique blend of armor, armament, and aircraft capability established the illustrious class as a cornerstone of British naval power, a nest for warbirds. The illustrious carrier's might. The illustrious class carriers boasted a diverse arsenal of aircraft, from agile fighters to the potent bombers of the British Air Service. While their robust armoured flight decks sacrificed some aircraft capacity, these carriers could still house an impressive 35 to 55 warplanes of varying sizes. These armoured behemoths were built to withstand a storm of punishment. The flight deck itself was an ironclad sanctuary, shielded by a 3-inch thick armoured layer and further protected by hefty 4.5-inch bulkheads along the sides. The waterline belt, hangar, and magazine compartments enjoyed similar protection, exceeding 4.5 inches of armour. Among these formidable carriers was HMS Victorious, commissioned in 1941. Though ordered in 1937 and launched just weeks after the war began, Victorious' arrival was delayed to prioritize escort vessels crucial for protecting vital Atlantic convoys. Despite the weight, Victorious emerged as a formidable presence, displacing a staggering 28,000 tons when fully loaded. Stretching an imposing 743 feet with a beam of 95 feet and a draft of 28 feet, she was a true floating fortress, ready to take on the challenges of war. Powerhouse and crew, Victorious takes flight. A monstrous heart of steel powered Victorious, 6 Admiralty turbines churning out over 111,000 horsepower. This colossal engine propelled the carrier to a swift 30.5 knots, granting her the agility to patrol vast expanses and strike with speed. Her operational range stretched an impressive 11,000 miles. Aboard, a vigilant crew of 817 sailors and 394 air group personnel formed the beating pulse of the ship. Defense wasn't an afterthought. 16 QF 4.5-inch guns, a bristling array of Bofors cannons and oerlikons, and a smattering of pom-poms stood guard against any threat. Fresh from commissioning, Victorious was dispatched to a critical mission, ferrying Hawker Hurricanes to beleaguered Malta in May 1941. Soon after, fate called upon her again. Europe's mightiest battleship, the Bismarck, was on the loose. Though lacking a full complement of aircraft, Victorious joined the hunt alongside other ships, determined to stop the German commerce raider and its escort, the Prinz Eugen. On May 24, 1941, Victorious locked eyes with its prey. 9 Fairey Swordfish torpedo bombers and 2 Fulmar fighters roared off the deck, aiming to cripple the Bismarck. The German battleship responded with a fury of anti-aircraft fire, but the British aircrew pressed on. Miraculously, none of Victorious's planes were lost, and a single Swordfish managed to score a critical hit on Bismarck's armoured belt. However, upon returning, 2 Fulmars were lost after failing to find the carrier in a sudden downpour. With its mission accomplished, Victorious turned its sights towards a new horizon, Victorious in action, from triumph to loss. Just 3 days after Victorious's daring attack, the legendary Bismarck met its end at the hands of aircraft from HMS Ark Royal. Victorious' contribution had played a crucial role in eliminating the greatest threat to British naval supremacy. In June 1941, while on an escort mission, a keen-eyed Swordfish crew spotted a German supply ship, the Gonsenheim, north of the Azores. A swift interception followed, and Victorious returned to Scapa Flow with over 60 German prisoners on board. July brought a new mission, supporting the Soviet Union after its invasion by Nazi Germany. Victorious embarked a squadron of Fairey Albacore torpedo bombers to strike German-occupied ports in Norway and Finland. Setting sail from Iceland with HMS Victorious and the mine-layer Adventure, the task force launched a daring attack on July 31st. Despite the tenacity of the British aviators, the heavily defended ports inflicted severe losses. Over 16 aircraft were lost in the face of relentless German anti-aircraft fire and support aircraft. The following months saw Victorious aircraft engaged in ongoing bombing missions against merchant ships near Norway and Sweden. By October 1941, Victorious found itself back in the Atlantic, collaborating with the US Navy. Using intelligence gleaned from the Enigma code, they aimed to strike down the German battleships Admiral Scheer and Tirpitz. The stage was set for another critical operation. Shifting tides, Victorious joins a new fight. The German ships ultimately abandoned their planned operation, but this event marked a turning point towards increased cooperation between the US and Britain. Victorious continued operations with the home fleet, braving the harsh Arctic waters to escort vital supply convoys to the Soviet Union in early 1942. From there, her seasoned crew charted a course for the Mediterranean, playing a key role in Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of North Africa that November. However, by December 1942, Victorious' destiny took an unexpected turn. The US Navy, despite victories at Midway, Coral Sea, and Santa Cruz, faced a relentless enemy in the Pacific and a growing carrier shortage. With new Essex-class carriers still under construction, they approached Britain for assistance. After extensive discussions, the Admiralty agreed to loan Victorious to the US Navy. This marked the beginning of a new chapter for Victorious, a chapter yet unwritten. Her crew embarked on a transatlantic journey to the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in January 1943, where she would undergo extensive modifications to become an American fighting force. Victorious, once a symbol of British might, was about to be reborn. Codename Robin, a British carrier goes American. Victorious transformation began. Christened with the secret codename USS Robin, the crew, however, retained the right to fly the British White Ensign. In dry dock, a metamorphosis unfolded. Cutting-edge American communication systems, air radars, and aircraft homing technology were installed, forging a stronger link with the US fleet. To bolster her defenses against Japanese air attacks, the stern was extended by 10 feet, creating a platform bristling with 20mm anti-aircraft guns. The British Albacore torpedo bombers were swapped for the more potent American TBM Avengers. Though adorned with US Navy markings, these aircraft were flown by British crews. A unique training program commenced across the Atlantic as American aviators schooled their British counterparts in tactics and procedures. Uniforms transitioned to American khaki, yet a touch of home remained. The iconic Royal Navy tropical shorts continued to be a familiar sight aboard Robin. On February 14th, USS Robin steamed through the Panama Canal, finally anchoring at Pearl Harbor in March 1943. Shakedown trials revealed limitations in the arresting gear, designed for lighter aircraft. This was quickly addressed with upgrades to handle the heavier Avengers. As the ship set sail for the South Pacific on May 8th, a fresh coat of US Navy blue-grey paint masked her British origins. A new chapter unfolded. USS Robin, alongside the carrier Saratoga in Carrier Division 1, was ready to contribute to the fight against Japan. Robin takes flight, a brief American odyssey. USS Robin, tasked with air operations over the Coral Sea for the new Georgia campaign, showcased its skilled handling of fighter squadrons. However, the heavier American Avenger torpedo bombers presented a challenge. To optimize the fleet, Rear Admiral DeWitt Ramsey made a strategic shift. The Avengers of 832 Squadron were transferred to the Saratoga, while Robin received the lighter F-4F Wildcats of U.S. Carrier Air Group 3. This reallocation happened as both carriers remained on guard against a potentially resurgent Japanese Navy, but neither saw direct combat. As the division returned to Noumea on July 25th, the arrival of the new American Essex-class carriers, USS Essex and USS Lexington, signaled a turning point. With the Japanese carrier threat subdued, Robin's service under the US Navy neared its end. Robin relinquished its Avengers to replenish Saratoga's stocks and set sail for Pearl Harbor on July 31st, escorted by the battleship USS Indiana. Arriving at Norfolk in September, Robin underwent a meticulous transformation. American equipment was removed and the carrier journeyed to Greenock, Scotland, for a comprehensive refit in preparation for its return to the Royal Navy. By April 1944, under its original name Victorious, the crew eagerly rejoined the fight, this time hunting the formidable German battleship Tirpitz, the sister ship of the infamous Bismarck. Victorious returns and the Pacific Theatre operation. Tungsten, a combined British effort, saw Victorious inflict heavy damage on the German battleship Tirpitz, with over 14 direct hits, effectively taking it out of service. In June 1944, Victorious rejoined the fight, this time under its original name, as part of the Eastern Fleet. Devastating airstrikes were launched against Japanese installations in Sumatra, a key strategic region. Victorious continued air operations until February 1945, right before the planned invasion of Okinawa. The carrier then joined forces with the US Fifth Fleet in March, spearheading crucial airstrikes against Japanese airfields in the Sakishima Islands and Formosa in preparation for the invasion. During these operations, Victorious faced the wrath of kamikaze attacks. However, its robust design, featuring an armored flight deck unlike its American counterparts with wooden decks, allowed it to withstand the onslaught. Victorious continued to press the offensive, inflicting significant damage on Japanese shipping and taking the escort carrier Kaio out of commission. As the war in the Pacific drew to a close, Victorious prepared for Operation Olympic, the planned invasion of mainland Japan. Thankfully, the horrors of a land invasion were avoided with the use of atomic bombs, leading to Japan's surrender. Victorious continued serving with the Royal Navy after the war, even undergoing modernization with an angled flight deck. However, a fire in 1967 ultimately led to its decommissioning due to budget constraints. Despite its limited service under the US Navy, Victorious played a crucial role in bolstering American naval power in the Pacific during a critical period of the war against Japan. As USS Robin, it undeniably holds its place within American military history of World War II. Thank you for watching.